Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode, basically, of the FileMaker series for this station. Yesterday I had a question, and the question was from a Greg Bresendale, and his question was, "Hi Tim, if you had an on-screen number pad, how would you enter a number into a field? E.g., click on 1, then click on 2, then click on 3. What is the case?" So let's dive into this and kind of figure out what we're doing and make something happen. So I think what we'll do is we'll just go ahead. We'll start a new one. Something simple, easy, painless. I'm just going to call this one numbers, and we'll save it. And it's going to just give us this blank thing, and we're not going to have anything for right now, but we're going to fix that really quick. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm definitely going to pick a theme, because you know me, I'm a big theme guy. So let's go down. Electric is one of my favorites just for you guys, because it tends to pop. It tends to really just kind of show what we have going on. So we're going to go ahead and make it bigger like that. And then what we'll do is we can put some buttons in there if we want to. Put a button in there. Let's make it a little button. Let's make it like this, like just a little button. We could just do that. And right now we're not going to call it anything. We're just going to kind of leave it be for right at this very moment. Declan, how are you? Declan, it's so good to see you. It is very good to see you. So we haven't named anything. We haven't done anything. Basically, we're just on the first page, right? So if I press and hold the control button, I can copy this and just kind of bring it down, and I can do that again. And obviously, we're going to want we're building a pad, right? Like a numbers pad. So we'll grab all of them and we'll take them to the side like this. You know me, I like to get everything perfect. Okay, so now with these number pads, we could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, and then 2 things on the side if that's what we wanted to do. Let's add some text. Our text will just put 1, and then if we can make it bigger, let's do this. Take it back down to the size it was before. We're going to click on it, and we're going to go into open up our number field, and we're going to make this a 48. I may have to do this again. That's so funny. All right. So 48 is not quite big enough. 72 is a little bit bigger. Let's just do that. I am good. Thank you very much for asking me. Just ate some Kentucky Fried Chicken. Sweet. So with the number 1 that we now currently have, we have this number 1. We can bring it over here, and we want to make sure that it fits inside of this box. And we're going to stretch it out. And as you notice, it fits inside of the box. So one thing that we're going to do is we're going to change the color of the numeral to yellow. We can make it bold if we want to, and we can center it, which is kind of a big deal, right? So we've now got a 1. And then if we press and hold the control button, we can move it over to the next one, and we can, if we click off, click back on, we can just type in 2, and it will automatically do it. So we can just continue to do that. I'm just going to do the first couple of them, guys. I'm not going to go through all of them like this, but if you click on it, just hit the 3 on your keypad, you now have a 1, 2, 3. Now we don't have any fields here, so we have nothing that this is actually going to do, right? So let's go and get started in our manage. Declan says he'll be right back. All right, Declan. Well, it's good to see you. We will manage our database. Now we only have the one table, and it's the numbers table. So I think what we'll do is let's add a few fields, because we need a few fields. Now I do want to briefly discuss on an earlier video several months ago, I had said something about ID numbers, and the ID number thing was misconstrued. And what I mean by that is you don't need ID numbers for every single layout, for every single page of your layout. Because if you do, what happens is you begin to build records that are related to that ID number. So if you have 25 fields in an ID number, every time you change even one of them, you're creating 25 new records every single time. So like if you had a contacts, let's just say you had some contacts, and in your contacts, one of the female contacts that you have gets married and changes her last name, so you had to go in and change her last name, or she loses her phone, or he loses his phone, gets a new phone, and you have to put a new phone in. Well, you're creating 25 records every single time you make even the slightest change. So a lot of times it is much easier to just not create an ID number that will automatically generate a serial number or an ID number for every single time that you do that. So that's we'll just clear that up right now. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to call this field, FIELD 1, and it's going to be a text. And then we'll just go back in here and we'll go field 2, and this one is going to be a numbers field, number field, and we'll create that one. So I'm not really sure what we were actually talking about when for Greg's question. He's basically said if you had an on-screen number pad. So this is my number pad, and on the FileMaker Go, I would be able to physically touch every one of the numbers. Okay, so that's a good thing. So here we have it, and he wants to know, how do we generate a number onto a field using this? Okay, and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways of doing this. So we'll say okay, and then we're going to grab our fields, and we don't. Let's do above. Let's do some above. Field 1, field 2. Now this is our number field. We're going to make it the exact same size as this other one. So that we now know what it is. But this field is our text, right? This is our text. So we're just going to say text field, just so you guys know what's going on. And if we click off of it, we can click over here and we can make it bigger so that you guys can see what it says. Just as we could do with this one, make it bigger so you guys can see. And this is all just so you guys can see what it says. So I'm going to just grab both of these and we'll just make them 24 so we can see them. And this one, we're going to name this one, it says my numbers field. Extend it out like this. Okay. So now we have the text field and the number field. So if we go into exit the layout, we now have a text field and a number field. Now we have created no records yet. FYI, we have created no records yet. In order to actually make any of this work, we're going to have to go in and create a new record. But let's not do that right now. Let's not do that right now. Just give me a minute and I'll explain. So from this point, I'm a perfectionist, so I'm going to move this down. Let's move these things over here. All right. So the easiest way of creating, if we click on, let's double click on field number 2, and you'll see we'll have these cute little things pop up. That's okay. But the big one is the inspector. And what I want to do in my inspector is under the data tab, I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom, and it's going to say touch keyboard type, set input method, all of that neat stuff down here. Now if you set the input method to automatic, then it will just automatically do blah blah blah. But if you say for default you can say numeric keypad or number and punctuation or phone. So you can set this to whatever you want to. So in this field, what would happen is if you said numeric 10 key and then you clicked off, what would happen is let's just create this stupid record. On the touch screen, so if you had a touch screen, this would automatically generate a keypad. Okay? Do we have that? Everyone understands that? I'm drinking coffee, by the way. So, USA Refurb, long time no see. You're absolutely correct. It has been a long time, hasn't it? I so need to get more. I have been so busy. As a matter of fact, one thing that I've been working on, let me show you guys real quick. One thing I've been working on is this. This is my program that I finished up last. And it deals a lot with like the sales, monitor what we did today store wise. There's a scan in inventory list. So it's been very complicated, and I've been actually doing that, and I've been building some other systems, and I've also been doing some so I've been helping people write programs, so that's a big deal. I'm also building furniture and display stuff for my store, and I've been pretty busy trying to, with these new tariffs and things coming up, trying to bring my system up and compliable to what's going on. So let's just close that down. We'll bring this one back up because this is the one that we really want to work on. So how do you get this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How do you get these to do anything? Well, you have to get them, you have to script it. So everything has to be script. So if we come into here and we click this button, we can say button setup or button action. We want it to perform a script. Pretty simple. And we're just going to add a new script. And the new script that we're going to add is, let's just say number _1. And I'm doing this just the numbering part, just so you guys can follow what I'm doing, okay? So the number 1, the very first thing that we need to do is, if we look in our favorites, we should be able to set a variable. We have to set the variable. And the variable is going to be old. I'm just going to call it old for now because that's the way it works. And it's going to be field number 1. And we'll say okay. Now that we've set the variable, now what we need to do is, even if it's blank, even if it's empty, now what we need to do is we need to clear the field and then reset the field. So it does get complicated. Don't worry about it. I will show you guys how to make it all work. So now we're going to set a field. And the field that we're going to set is field 1. And the calculated result is going to be blank. We're going to blank it out because we want to get rid of what's ever in there, so that we don't, because what you will do is just mess everything up. So let's start by doing that, right? So we'll set the field to blank, and now we can do it this way too. Let's just try this. Let's just try it. We want this to be instead, let's use this, delete. We'll do $old. Or let's just delete that. $old. And then in quotations 1. And then halt script, whatever you want to do, halt script, that would be just fine. Let's do halt script. Let's see how this works. We'll say okay. 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 Exit layout. Okay, so now it says 1. Now it says 1 again. Now it says 1 again, 1 again, 1 again, 1 again, 1 again. So every time I push the 1 button, it's going to add numbers to that field. If I click on it, I can come in and erase them all. Now, how do I get the 2 in there? Pretty simple. Let's edit the layout, manage scripts. And this number 1 script, we're just going to duplicate it. And then I'm going to edit. I'm going to rename it, basically, is what I'm going to do. So my rename, I'm just going to come in here and name it 2. So number 2. And we'll click off of it, and now it's there. So for this one, what we're going to do is the calculator result is for this 1, we're just going to delete the 1 and put a 2 in there. Call it OK. Now, you will have to do this for every single button that you have. Okay? Every single button that you have. So the number 2, we will duplicate and we'll rename it. And we're going to rename this one 3. And we'll go up in here and change this to a 3 in the calculator result. Control S. Okay, so now that we have all of those things, what we can do now is we can, this button, we can go into button set, button action, perform script, and this one we'll select the number 2 and we'll call it OK. Now you can do this using a single script and using a hidden field and using this optional script parameter. So you could have, like, if you guys remember any of my other videos, what you could do, but this is so simple. This is such a simple thing to do, to put numbers in a field. Simple. You could have a single script that you wrote that was a master script for numbers, like numbers masters or master number. And then it would grab the script parameter as a variable, and then it would add that to your system. But remember to use the and sign or the ampersand sign and not the plus sign, because it will add things together if you do that, right? So this one is the number 3 and we'll call it OK. And now if we exit the layout and we do 1, 2, 3, we now have 1, 2, 3. It will just continue because remember, we're just putting those numbers into that texted field. And we can do the same thing in the numbers field if that's what we want to do. But what do we want to do after this? Do we want to have an add button? Do we want to have, so Greg, if you're out there and you're watching this video, keep in mind when you're asking a question, ask the whole question so that I can understand what you're saying. Because his question was quite simple, and the question was, how would you enter a number into a field? Click on 1, then 2, then 3, have 1, 2, 3 entered into the field. That's what I did. So 1, 2, 3 enters into the field. And if I wanted to, I could press 3, 2, 1, and it's just going to continue doing this until I tell it to do something. Now, if you wanted to add numbers together, or you wanted to have a compilation of numbers and you wanted to be able to manipulate those so that you could say, I want to do some math with this, then that's completely plausible. You can do that. You can add and or subtract numbers. So how I would do that is, and I'm just going to show you an add process really super fast, just really super fast, okay? So I'm going to just grab this dude and I'm going to pull him down to here. Oh, come on, just do what I asked you to. And then I'm going to use the, almost need to grab my glasses. Nope. Back. Shift add. Okay. And this one is, I think that does it. Minus? Yes. Okay. So you have add and minus, and you guys can make whatever you want. You can change these. It doesn't matter. Okay, so what we're going to do with this one's going to be a little bit different, is I need to create another field. I can't just do it with the field, the single field that I have. So let's manage our database. Let's create another field, and this field is going to be a text field or a number field. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because we're just dealing with numbers at this point. But for the purposes of this demonstration, we'll just go ahead and do those things. So let's add a field 1x. Let's just do that. So if I click on this, I can come down here and I can add 1x, and it'll be a text field. We'll call it OK. But now I need a secret field. I need a secret field because now we're going to start really messing with things. So well, no, let's not do a secret field. Let's do something, because we don't want to keep, let's not keep everything all into one thing. Manage database. I'm going to do a summary field. Or, well, no, I don't want to do a summary field because then I guess I could. I'm just sitting here trying to figure out how I can best explain this to you so that you guys understand. Tech, how are you? It is really good to see you. I haven't seen you forever. I am so glad to have you guys here. Thank you guys so very much for being here and watching the show. So, what I wanted to do was like add a text field type thing, but I think what I'll do is we can do a summary field, and then let's do summary add. Let's do summary add field, and you can geez, I really want to make this simple for you guys so that you guys can just make things happen. So let's do with what we have, and then we'll add to that. So field picker, actually, let's just grab this field, and if you control and you pull the field over, it'll ask you, do you want it to be the same field or do you want it to be a different field? I want it to be this one, the 1x, and I don't really need the little thingy for it. So, and now what I want to do is for this plus button or the minus button, but remember, these are going to be very, very, very different with very, very different outcomes. So you'll have to figure out how you want to do that. So, and we're just going to take it step by step. We're going to start with the additional or the adding one, and then we'll move to the minus one where you can subtract numbers. So in this one, what we're going to do is we're going to do button action, and we're going to tell it to perform a script, and we're going to have to add another script. And this script is going to be add and FIELD fields. Now the very first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want it to get off of the field number 1 and go to field number 2. That's all we really wanted to do. We could have just told it to do a single step, but you know me, we're just being a little crazy. So what we'll do is we're just going to tell it to go to. So if we just click on this white space in here, we just type in the word go. We just tell it to go to field. And then we're going to select the field that we want it to go to. 1x. End of story. End of story. Call it OK. Call it OK. So now if we exit, and remember that these don't have to necessarily be available in browse mode. So if these are not available in browse mode, I wouldn't be able to click on them and just clear them. So I will show you how to make all this stuff happen. So let's do 1, 2, 3 plus. See how it automatically went to the next field? 1, 2, 3. Oh, what? Why is it still? Oh. Because it didn't, because we're only doing it with a specific field. So what do we need to do? We need to, so this button needs to change, right? Click. Don't worry, we've got this figured out, and sometimes I make those mistakes so that you guys can actually understand what's going on. So in this button field, add fields, the first thing that we want to do is let's just get rid of, or let's just do this. Bring out our favorites, set a variable, put the variable on top. The variable is going to be, we can name it anything. But let's name it first. We'll name it first, but I want it to be small. And what it's going to be is field 1, and we'll call that okay. We'll call that okay. Now what we've done is we've captured the stuff that's in the field. And then we're going to set the field. And the field that we're going to set is this field 1. And the calculated result is we're going to clear it. And we're doing this all by script. This whole thing, we're doing everything by script. Go to field, filed x1. We don't necessarily have to do this anymore. So let's just delete that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tell it to set a field. And this field is going to be the 1x field, and the calculated result is going to be $ first. And we can tell it to halt script. We don't necessarily always need to do that. So now if we exit the layout and we do 1, 2, 3 plus, it'll just move the 1, 2, 3 over here, and we could do 1. I got to use it. 1, 2, 3. So, but if we want to add those, if we want to be able to add all those numbers together, how do we do that? Or if we want to be able to subtract all of those numbers, how do we do that? Or if we want to be able to multiply those numbers, how do we do that? And can we do it automatically? Yes, of course we can do it automatically. So one of the things that we can do is, if you have this field, this is the text field that's always going to stay static. These other ones are very dynamic, and they're going to change a lot. So what we'll do is, let's edit the layout, manage our database. And this field 1x, I want to name that field 1 add. And so we'll just change it to field 1 add. And then we're going to say field 1, and we'll just say subtract. And we'll create that one. And then we can create one that says multiply. I know this is very simple and very interesting, but each one has its own purpose. So if we say, and at this point what we need to do is we need to have a sum. We have to start creating summary fields. So for every one of these we have to have a summary field, right? So this one I'm gonna say sum underscore add, and it'll be a summary field. Or it can be, you can also make it a, because watch what happens if I create this. What it'll do is it'll say, so let's do this. Let's do it. Let's make it a calculation instead. Create. And so now the calculation is going to be what? Field 1 plus field 1 add. And there it is. And then we can tell it to show, or to only produce a number, or to only produce if we want it, or if this is full, then we will see it. Does that make sense? So in our thing, we'll say okay, and then let's do some sub, and it's also a calculation, and this one's going to be field 1 minus field 1 subtract. Okay. So now if we bring out our field picker and we put out our field 1 add, or some add, let's delete that. Let's make this a 24. And we'll just put this over here. And then we can also have the sum sub, and we can make that a 24. Now the thing is, these don't necessarily, so let's see what happens if we exit the layout. It'll automatically, this one will automatically take this number and this number and add them together. This one, it doesn't, I don't know what it's doing right now, but it's obviously doing nothing because we don't have the subtraction field in there. So if we had, and then you're gonna also have to figure out, or you're gonna have to clear, so you have to push a button that'll basically clear all of the fields. So it can become, yeah boy, how the heck are you? So it can become very complicated very fast just by adding this 10 keypad. You can change everything. I would highly suggest that if you're going to calculate fields, that you have an ability to clear the field, because that's kind of a big deal. Let's see if we edit the layout, bring a field picker, because we have field 1 add and field 1 subtract. And the field 1 subtract we'll do, I believe we're doing everything as 24. Exit layout. Now this one, see how it's got a number in it? We can tell it to not show anything if this field is empty. So we could basically say, because if I added something to this field, like 12, see how it will automatically subtract the number? Or if I added 15, it'll automatically subtract the number. So this is always going to be visible, but you can tell it not to be. And the cool thing is from here, you can say, if I wanted to have, like, I would have to add a button. So let's do this. Let's add a button. And we're just going to name this button clear. $24, and we'll make it red. No, we won't make it yellow. Yellow is so much better of a color. Yellow. So, and we can make it bold. Actually, let's do this. Let's make it all caps. Clear. Okay. Now I can basically put this button underneath here if I wanted to. And this clear button, we can make it clear all of the fields. Set field, set field, set field, set field, set field, whatever you want to do. It can literally just go through. You can put in a loop function if you want to, or you can just tell it to clear all the fields. In this particular case, we'll just tell it to clear the. It'll clear the fields, or we can create a new record, or whatever the case might be. Which, if you want to, you could add a serial number to this, and you could just create a new record, and then it would eliminate all of this stuff. So that's like the easiest way to do it, Because if you were on this and you're here, if you just create a new record, it just erases everything. And you start all over again. And you can just do 1, 2, plus 1, 3. And it's 25. But I will show you how to make this not visible or blank or hidden or whatever the case might be. So we can just say, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. One of the things we can do is if you just double click on it or bring up your inspector, you can do hide object when. So we can hide the object when is empty. And the field would be field 1 subtract. Let's say okay. And it doesn't, these don't have to be available in browse mode. But I'm leaving them in browse mode so that you guys, so we can manipulate them as we need to. So now if we exit the layout, you'll see you don't even see it unless we add something to this. Let's do a small number, 8. Now it is ping, you can see it. But before you can't see it. So if I erase this, and you could do the same thing with the plus one too. Backspace. It disappears. Pretty cool. This numbers thingy can be very, very, very complicated. This numbers thingy is super, super, super simple. So if we had a touch screen, it would automatically bring up a number. It would bring up a pad. This one is going to basically set numbers for you. How do you go back and change those numbers? You can put in a directional key that says go to previous field, go to next field. Go to previous field, go to next field. It's a pretty simple process. All you need is a button. Let's do this. We're just going to grab this button really fast. I'm going to show you how to do that go to previous field thing really, really quick. And this one, we're just going to have this one with, let's do this. Nope. And then we're just going to tell it to perform a single step. And we'll just go to previous field. And I think that's the only direction that we can go is go to previous field. And so now if we go into a range and we set the tab order, you'll see all of the tab order. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So going to the previous field actually will take you back to the first field. So we'll just leave them like that. We'll exit layout. And so if we were here, go to previous field, previous field, previous field. See how it's just cycling through all of the different fields? So that's how you can do it. But just remember, this is always going to set the number. With these scripts, it's always going to set this number. So the only way that you're going to be able to change this number, let's see, 1, 2, 3, go to previous field, 1, 2, 3, go to previous field, 1, 2, 3. So we're just typing, I'm just using my keypad for that, but and then to clear all these fields, it would just basically be, you could either just create a new record and everything is done, which would just be create a new record button, or you can just go through and tell it to clear individual fields. But there's also a master script that you can do that will, so if you're on the field, it will be, the script will actually add to whatever field that you're on versus adding it to a specific field. But hopefully this answers your question. Hopefully this helps you build a new one. Fanas, how are you? So good to see you. hopefully this will help you build something new. It'll help you create something, and everything will be great. You guys will be like, whoa, what's going on? No, not really. I'm just kidding. But Greg, hopefully this answers your question, and hopefully, Mr. Bresendale, that this gives you an idea to create the solution that you're looking for, because this is a pretty unique way of doing it, and you can always just do some sort of a next thing, and just take these numbers and put them in a list. And it's all about organization. How did you organize these things so that they worked and or functioned for what you wanted them to do? If you're more specific about what you're actually looking for or what you actually want, let me know and I will create a solution just for you. And until next time, guys, I appreciate you all for being here. I'm way over my time limit. I only meant to be about 30 minutes, but hopefully I've answered you guys' questions, and hopefully you guys are using FileMaker to help yourself in your business go much better. So until next time, we'll see you guys on the next episode. See you later. Oh, and I want to give a big shout out. Thank you, you boy. Thank you, Tech. Thank you guys for being here. Declan, thank you for being here. You guys are amazing. Vinos, thank you, Vinos. Appreciate you. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.